previously on Ballz.
Afternoon, and as Bob Marley says, turn your lights down low, and I'm sure Gary Mabbutt, turn your heater up. It is absolutely freezing over there in the UK.
Yes, we've had a lot of cold weather over the last few days, and we had quite a lot of snow. In fact, I'll just turn my camera around. I can just show you the snow in the garden. So wait a second.
Yes, show us around. That's one thing we haven't done with you, is a guided tour of the Mabbutt household.
Wow, Gary.
That looks like an estate.
That's beautiful.
There we go. Now we've got about 6 inches of snow lying out there in the garden. So, as you say, it's pretty cold.
What I never understand about the English, and this happens every year, and they call it the big freeze, but you guys are in the northern hemisphere, and every year you manage to find a way to be surprised when it snows. It happens. It's your winter.
That's very true, and of course everything grinds to a halt.
Yes, and
schools, the airports, but we're not used to it. I mean, if we probably have, I would say probably 1 or 2 spells throughout our whole winter where we actually have snow. So it's something which is actually, although it's winter, it's cold. It's very unusual to have big falls of snow, and I would say this year this is the second bit of snow we've had. So it's not like it's an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, but then you go across the channel, and you go to Germany and France and Austria, and they manage fine.
Yes. I'm trying to defend the indefensible.
Yeah. Anyway, it looks magic though.
No, it is beautiful. The girls were off school yesterday, so because obviously all the roads were shut in the area. So yes, it was lovely. We went out and had a lovely picnic in the snow. Went out making snowmen and having snowball fights and tobogganing. So yes, it's very pleasant for a day or so.
Yeah, and you can stay indoors, and if you feel like it, you can watch a bit of the AFCON. Have you been?
I've watched a bit of it, not too much of it, because I've been very busy and obviously going along to the Premier League games over here. But obviously, Bafana struggling to score goals. They need a big result tomorrow against Angola, and fingers crossed.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you from an English perspective, because we watch the Premier League over here, and the standard is fantastic. Do you find it somewhat tedious and boring soccer to watch? A sort of a come down from what you see over there?
No, if I'm being honest, you look at how African teams have progressed over the last 20 years. Their appearances in World Cup finals, in the last World Cup in South Africa. Ghana, for me, if they could have got through, if it hadn't been for that cheating man, Mr. Suarez, to the semi-final, they were playing very well, they were on form. And, so it shows how far African football has come. So, no, I think, a lot of games, you can watch a lot of European games and be bored stiff. But, the same with some of the African games, and the other games are excellent. So, overall, I still find it as enjoyable. Some of the tactics sometimes bemuse me a bit, but having said that, I still find that the game's very enjoyable to watch.
Yeah, no, the reason why I ask is we've been reading a few reports here, and people, it's just mainly local journalists, not happy with the performance of Bafana in the opening game against Cape Verde. Population of 500,000, can't score a goal against them, can't beat them. They're not a bad side, of course, but they're just saying, the game itself a poor advert for African football.
Well, yes, I think being on home soil, you expect Bafana to go out there and to give Cape Verde a hammering. That didn't seem to happen. Lack of chances, lack of creativity. But I'm sure that the manager's going to have to make some changes for tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll see a completely different performance tomorrow.
All right, well, that's African football. Now, tell us what is happening with Sir Alex Ferguson. What is going on there? They've asked him to come and explain. I think that it's pretty clear cut. We all know what he said. Yes,
but the thing about Sir Alex, I think it's not. You expect it to some degree. He's been under a lot of pressure. He deals with things, and he said things which perhaps, in hindsight, he wished he hadn't have said. But obviously, I was at the game on Sunday between Tottenham and Manchester United. Overall, I felt that Tottenham deserved to win. We created the best chances. We controlled a lot of the game. We had more of the possession. But that's why United are doing so well at the moment. Even when they're not playing particularly well, they are getting points, and that is the form of champions.
Yeah. Do you think his criticism of the linesman was valid?
Well, you're always going to have different perspectives. I was sitting in the stand. It's very difficult to see in a when you watch it, just see it once. That's the same that the linesman or the referee has to make a decision. Something like 98% of all decisions that they make are generally correct. Unfortunately, when the odd one is made that could be a big decision and it's incorrect, well, it's frustrating. But overall, I think you'll always find over a season these things even themselves out.
Yeah, well, I mean, what could the FA technically do? Alex Ferguson is such a powerful figure in not only British football but world football. You take him on at your peril, I think.
Well, no, I think there are rules and regulations that you have to uphold, whether you're a player or a manager. And if you step out of line, there are set punishments. So they will have to look into it, make a decision. Where, obviously the charging and obviously on what it was said. Was it, how was it said? How was it done? And then they'll make a decision. So, but overall, I think Sir Alex is a great character to have in the Premiership. Obviously, you want to have more characters within the game, and he's certainly one of those you always enjoy listening to because you know full well that something could come out there that's could be a bit controversial.
Or listening to if you can understand him.
But no, I mean, you look at his record.
Yeah.
I mean, really, him and Arsene Wenger, really, as Premiership managers, have really been the top two over this last 15 years.
Kennox?
Transfer window almost coming to a close. I just want to find out, what are your thoughts on the latest rumour that Barcelona is actually looking at Reina?
Well, I mean, as I said, it's not just Reina. I mean, there are a lot of players that have been scrutinised over this last couple of months. It's been a very quiet transfer window, so normally a lot of the action takes place in the last few days, deals being done, so I'm sure that over this next week we will see a lot of movement. But yeah, as I said, if you're on top of your form, you're playing well, there's always going to be a top team that want to come in for you. Even if you're a top team, you know full well that you're going to attract that attention.
And, well, you say we'll see a lot of action closer to the end of the transfer period, but any truth, do you think, to the rumours of David Villa handing in his transfer papers? Well,
again, you would not believe the amount of rumour and speculation that's been going on here for the last sort of month about players coming and going, and virtually all of the rumours so far have been completely untrue. But you know full well that in some of them there's going to be some truth. There's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try and make some deals happen. But until they actually happen, I think you just got to just bear with the rumour mongering and just get on with life.
What are your feelings with regard to Arsene Wenger? Apparently, there's been a leaked photograph which showed a fines list for his players, Gary. Do you think this is extraordinary? Is it something that you would have also got upset about had it happened at Spurs?
To be honest, players get fined for all different sorts of things. There's a whole, list of rules that you have to uphold as a player. If you get bookings, sendings off, bookings for dissent, sent off for dissent, all different areas. And it's, we used to get fined all the time at Tottenham for being late for training or wearing the wrong tracksuit to an away match or whatever. They're all fines. But generally, most of these fines are all put to a good cause. And just to prove that, the SOS Children's Village in Rustenburg, we collected all of the Tottenham players' fines, and all the fines a couple of years ago funded the building and the looking after of that home in Rustenburg. So all the money's put to good use. If I was a player, I wouldn't be too concerned.
Talking your cell phone a bit more often.
Something I don't know. I did get fined myself, but there we go.
Yeah, what did you get fined for?
In fact, I don't think I did get fined. There we go. So I never got sent off. So there we go. I was a goody two shoes.
Oh, that's nice.
And looking ahead to some of the week's clashes, we've got on Wednesday we've got Arsenal up against West Ham, and then your thoughts on how that should pan out.
I mean, again, I would think Arsenal have to win that one. They're now trailing Tottenham by 7 points. We're in fourth place, but then there's Everton below us, who are 3 points behind us, and then you've got Arsenal and Liverpool, who are 7 points behind us. So obviously everyone's fighting for that fourth spot in the table. We've got to maintain our form, and as I said, we perhaps deserve to get all 3 points against Manchester United, but being one down in going into the 92nd minute when we equalised actually felt like a victory. So we've been putting in some good performances over Christmas and the start of the new year. We've got to maintain that now, And of course, Arsenal need a victory to try and keep on our tail.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you, coming off the back of that 2-1 loss to Chelsea, what are your thoughts on Arsene Wenger's time at the club? How much longer can he carry on in that position as manager before people have been asking questions already, but what do you think is going to happen to him?
Well, I find it quite amazing. I get asked often about Arsene Wenger, and obviously being a Spurs man, they generally expect me to have a go at him and say he should go. Arsene Wenger's been a friend of mine for a while. Spent a lot of time with him at the World Cup in South Africa a couple of years ago. He is a great manager. 14 years on the trot, he has got Arsenal into the Champions League and into the top 4 in the Premiership. Now, Tottenham, we got into the top 4 once, and that was 3 years ago. And we've been celebrating that ever since. So his achievements at Arsenal, yes, they haven't won a trophy for a while. They need to win a trophy. But with all due respect, I don't think there's a manager out there who you could bring in that could do a better job than Arsene Wenger.
There we go. And well, I'm sure Darren will be pleased to hear that.
Yes.
No, I think Darren's been calling for his head for a while, but obviously you've been close to Arsene, you know exactly what's going on behind the scenes there. Gary, thanks so much for chatting to us this afternoon. We always appreciate your insights on Ballz Radio, and wrap up warm. I hope the weather improves so you can actually leave that house. It looks tough there.
No, it's not that bad. It's only been for a few days, so we can't complain.
No, it looks magical.
Haven't got those chains on the wheels yet. Cheers, Gary.
No, fortunately, I've got a 4x4, because if you've got a two-wheel vehicle, it's been very difficult to go anywhere in the last few days, but I've got a 4x4, so we've been able to get around.
There we go. Cool. Gary, thanks again. We really appreciate your time, and hope to chat to you again soon on Ballz Visual Radio.
Thank you, and say good luck to Bafana tomorrow.
Yes,
Thanks, Gary.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Here we go. Gary Mabbutt, all the way from the UK. How is that house?
Kate had the last say. Ooh! Kate! Oh! Kate said bye. Oh.
Did you see his house?
Isn't it amazing?
Wow.
Man? Yeah.
Gee whiz.
How much is that house where he... Yeah, never mind.
Must be worth. And it looked like royal grounds of one of the royal palaces.
Exactly.
That's exactly what it looked like. Wow,
Yeah.
amazing! If you missed
Yeah.
it, we'll obviously podcast that interview, and you can see just how big Gary Mabbutt's house is. You don't obviously realize it when you're sitting on Skype and you're
Yeah.
just staring at him in his little study. But he turns the thing around, and you can see how massive his garden is.
I should have taken football, Simon.
Yeah, I know we're in the wrong profession.
This is Ballz Visual Radio. Darren, Simon, Kate, and John. Weekdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central African Time. Balls.co.za